Okay, so hi, and welcome to another one of these team sessions we do every week on Wednesdays. Following convocation, unfortunately, we didn't get to have convocation today because of the delay due to snow, but we're going to have a Teams talk today on the LWW Health Library and the Clerkship collection. A couple things there that would be useful to both student doctors and faculty that I wanted to be sure everyone was aware of. So as I always like to do, I show where you can find these things. If you go to the LUCOM library page, you might notice it looks a little bit different. We've made some updates to the way it's organized, the way it looks, but everything is still here. And if you scroll down under LUCOM library resources, you'll find links to the Clerkship collection and to LWW. They're both made by Wolters Kluwer or Ovid, but they're right here. And of course, if you're ever looking for all of our resources, you can find those with this course guides and textbooks link goes to our A to Z medical databases. But if I open these up, I'm going to show you that the first thing you'll see is this sign in. We started using Open Athens, so just the way the link works, when you click on it, you'll sign in with your Liberty username and password. And I'll sign in both places just to make sure. But when you first go to the LWW collection, you accept all cookies. It used to look a little bit differently if you've used this before. Now when you click on LWW, it takes you to browse the health library collection, and it's got anatomical sciences, osteopathic medicine, and clerkship, which is kind of a separate resource. But if you click on anatomical sciences and accept again, this looks a little different. You can search through the database here, but you also have buttons for text, video, and audio, self-assessments, and cases. If I click on texts, this probably looks familiar. This is what it used to look like, the landing page when you first went to LWW Health Library. But it's got anatomy resources, biochemistry, embryology, histology, neuroscience, and then there's some BRS, some board review stuff in here. But you can see we've got grants to sector, clinical anatomy cases, Moore's clinically oriented anatomy is in here. So a lot of these I know are required textbooks. And if I were to click on one of these, say clinical anatomy cases, it pulls up the book by section, so it breaks it down into the different chapters, different sections with corresponding page numbers. And I can get to the whole chapter by just clicking on the link. It'll open it up. So it's got the whole chapter here. It's not like a scanned page of a textbook, but it's got all the same content that the physical textbook has. But one thing I wanted to show too, particularly for faculty, is when you first look at the resource, you'll see table of contents up here. You'll see images. And if you click on images, it's going to pull up, there's 310 figures in this textbook that are available, and it breaks them down by section. So if I click on abdomen and it pulls up that figure from the resource, you'll see links down here that say view original and download PowerPoint slide. If I click on download PowerPoint slide and open up that slide, it automatically makes attribution to the LWW Health Library where you got it from. It's got the date that you accessed it. Our lectures that we're making are pretty well covered under fair educational use, but it's always good to be in a habit of making attribution just in case. All of our stuff is behind single sign-on for students and faculty, so it's not necessarily a high risk thing, but it's good to be in the habit of making attribution when it's possible. But this is a way that faculty can pull figures directly into a PowerPoint and make attribution for those images. There's video and audio available in the health library. If I can go to it. So it's going to have multimedia. Most of this is in anatomy and embryology, but it's got multimedia content available. There's self-assessments here that are accessible once you create a login and sign into the resource. We already have access through Liberty University because we see up here it says Liberty University, but I'm going to go ahead and sign in to the resource. And you'll see instead of just Liberty University, it'll have my name up here at the top. Rob Morset, so I'm signed in to my profile. And now I have access to all of these questions from these different resources: anatomy, embryology, neuroanatomy, and physical examination, history taking. Some of them there's not a lot. You can see here 15 2 questions for this, 17 for that one. Some of these abdomen and pelvis, 117 questions, 1,615 questions for the brain. So this is a really good resource for question banks. I know students are always liking to find question banks and ways they can quiz themselves. This is a really cool resource available to students. But again, you have to create a free account to sign into the resource that'll be associated with your Liberty Access, and you can get access to all these self-assessments. The Clerkship collection is similar, except that instead of applying primarily to the first and second year of medical school, it's for the third and fourth clinical years, and it's broken down a little differently into specialties. So when I go to the Clerkship collection, I have sections for family medicine, internal medicine, OBGYN, surgery, psychiatry, and pediatrics. But again, you'll find buttons down here for the text that are available. There's a journal club function. It's not super robust, but that is there if students and faculty wanted to get together and use that. Again, there's self-assessments available. In this case, it's contextual, so it's pulling from the resources that are in the Clerkship collection. So these self-assessments are going to be different than the self-assessments that you found in the health library. There's a lot of them too, and but again, it breaks them down by specialty. So comprehensive review of systems, diagnostic study, emergency medicine, family medicine, internal medicine. You can see I've taken some of these questions and gotten them all wrong. But there's some of these, again, there's not a lot. 3 questions for acid-base disorder, but 194 questions for cardiology. It's just a really wealthy resource for students who wanted to study. There's also cases, clinical cases, that can be used. And I don't know if this would be something where faculty could use these as part of a TBL or something, but or students just want to use it as a self-study resource. And these are broken down into OBGYN, psychiatry, and surgery. So that's basically what I wanted to show available. Again, if I go back to text for the Clerkship collection, it'll pull up. This might look more familiar as what the landing page used to look like. And a lot of our required textbooks are in here. I know Beckman and Ling for women's health is in here, but there's other required textbooks I know that are part of this. I think we used to use Essentials of Surgical Specialties. I'm not sure, but they're broken down by specialty over here on the left here. This is really more useful for the third and fourth clinical years. So that's basically what I wanted to show today. I didn't go super in depth, but just so everyone's aware of what's available for faculty that want to use these figures or images for their PowerPoint slides. And I want to be sure that students know they have these self-assessments and cases available for self-study. So I hope everyone has a good rest of your week.